on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, live from Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road in College Station. Welcome to the Aggie Diamond Hour with Jim Schlossnagle and Trisha Ford. Brought to you by 44 Farms, the official beef of Texas A&M Athletics. And by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit Rudy's.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Here's the voice of the Aggies, Andrew Monaco.
Howdy, we welcome you to another edition of the Aggie Diamond Hour. We get started with Jim Schlossnagle. He leads off on deck. Trisha Ford, combined
clean up.
Combined 60 wins.
What is like 50 by her and 10 by us? Yeah,
just about, Schloss.
We're just trying to keep up, man. She's killing it. She's awesome.
Just about. They are 10-5 and third in the SEC and going to Alabama this weekend. And you're 8-4 in the SEC, and you got Vanderbilt coming in, and we changed things up though.
Yeah,
today, right?
Yeah.
So Schloss wanted some questions.
Well, I just don't want to do the same thing. Like, let's talk about last week's game and preview this weekend. Like, everybody comes to the games. Let's talk about something else. Let's actually talk about baseball or something else.
So we threw out, hey, ask questions. Schloss will answer them. Here we go. We're going to get right to it.
Let's do it.
You ready?
Let's do it.
We're going to start with this one. If Hollywood, this is from Radio Diva, by the way.
I was wanting some baseball questions.
No. Well, it is a baseball question. If Hollywood was making a movie about you and the team, who would you like to see play you?
Well, the greatest baseball movie actor of all time, Kevin Costner.
Good answer.
That would be and he also loves horses.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yep.
So
gotcha.
That's very Aggie, right?
Could you wear the tiger cap that he wears, like Billy Chappell?
Billy Chappell. That is my favorite baseball. Coach Garrido was in that movie. I'd have to want it. I mean, I grew up a Red Sox fan, so I'd have to say Boston.
Okay. Now, who would play the team? So I followed up with Radio Diva. Now, this is something that we might have to ask them over the course of the season, and come back on our next show. Like, which actors would be playing which players?
Well, when you told me about this question, I was hoping I'd get to pick like a team.
Yeah.
So I would take like the '96 Yankees that won like 120 games or won so many World Series.
Yeah.
But in terms of the actors, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
they're going to have their own answers, aren't they? If we ever ask them this,
you should ask the players.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
That's what we're
going
to do. First
Jace would want to play himself.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
He would definitely do that. Okay.
Yeah. Braden would pick like Ty Diggs. Is that his name?
Yeah.
The actor that's just smooth and good-looking guy.
That's Braden.
That's
He's
definitely smooth, good-looking dude.
Who's Hayden Schott?
Hayden Schott is like, what's the brothers from
the Wilson?
One
of the Wilsons?
Not
Owen,
Luke, but Owen Wilson. Yeah, Owen Wilson for sure.
Yeah. I was thinking old Spicoli.
Yeah, those guys don't.
They won't know.
They don't know that.
They won't know.
Yeah, they don't.
A little
know.
too old. Okay, so we'll come
Mr.
back
Hand.
with that. Yeah. Isn't this our time, Mr.
Yeah.
Hand? Okay. Yeah. Someone wants to ask, how does PitchCom work, Schloss?
Yeah. So PitchCom is basically it looks like a little band. It's real thin. It's about 3 or 4 inches long. Slides down in the cap of the player, and that's how we call the pitches. So Coach Max has what looks like a little TV remote. He presses one button means fastball, one button means slider, one button may mean pick off to second base, pick off to first base, and you press it, and you can hear it in the and we gave one. Some schools only do it with like the pitcher, the catcher, and maybe the shortstop. We do it with all the players because, for example, I want Jace in center field to know that we're trying to pick the guy off at second base, so he can't go too fast because he'll tip it off. But I want him to know, hey, you got to be prepared to back this throw up. And we had one, I think Prager maybe threw it away, and Jace and he gets to the ball so fast, so he knows. If you know a pitch is coming, maybe you're left-handed, maybe Prager's throwing his breaking ball down into a right-handed hitter. Well, if that guy hits the ball, it's a pretty good chance it's going to go to the left side of the field, right? So you want those guys. You can't move too soon, but it's baseball is on defense. It's a game of anticipation, right? I'm anticipating. They should always be anticipating the balls hit to them, but that helps with that. And then you'll see when our crowd gets really loud, sometimes you'll see and you watch it in the major leagues, but they'll cover their ear with their glove to try and hear it because If you have it up too loud,
yeah,
it's like having these earphones right now jacked up too loud when it's not loud out. But when it's loud out, you got to crank it up. You'll see Teddy Burton does a good job. He steps off the base because you don't want the base runner to hear, hey, we're picking off, you know, or whatever. So there's a lot to it. It's permissible on offense right now, but it's expensive. And so we're not using it on offense. I'm still giving old school signs, which I enjoy doing. But next year I'm probably going to switch over to that just because it's just so easy and the other team can't get your signs.
Right.
So it's really cleaned up the game. You used to have all these different signs, and you had to have night signs because you couldn't see the fingers at night. So you had to have body signs on the catcher. So it's really made coaching a lot more simple. Very
similar to college football, like pro football has the microphone in the helmet for the quarterback.
How crazy is that isn't yet until this year going to be in college football?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Used to shuttle in plays and all that.
Yeah. I used to be I was the guy that running in and was 42 dive. Yeah.
You never called a play for yourself? You ever changed the play going in?
No. I was afraid to get in trouble, do up downs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone asks, I hear a lot about Trackman during broadcasts. What is Trackman?
So Trackman is it basically came out of golf. It's a GPS Doppler tracking device which tracks the ball, and it tracks the spin of the ball, all the different things that you see from a pitcher: release height, release angle, extension, spin on the ball. Right, what's called, you hear when Nolan Ryan was pitching, you say, well, man, that ball just rides up. Well, they call that induced vertical break. So it's all information that helps us coach the player. It helps us learn more about the other team. Everybody has the same information.
Right.
It does the strike zone. The problem with Trackman is it doesn't take into account the height of the hitter. So what a strike is to Chestnut in the box may or may, obviously a ball up to Chestnut at the top of the Trackman strike zone, it may say it's in the strike zone, but it's Chestnut hitting.
Right.
He's little.
Right.
Or he's short. I shouldn't say he's little.
Yeah.
He's short. Whereas Binderup is tall, or Jace is really tall. And so it's pretty accurate left and right, as long as you have to recalibrate it almost on a daily basis. We use it in the bullpen, and then we have it during the game. But it's all great information. And there's other companies. I think next year there's a group, Hawkeye. There's the major leagues uses a thing called Yacker Tech, I think. So they're all trying to one up each other. But it's great information. It's great now for the fans. You go to most major league parks and you'll see that stuff up there. Hey, he hit it at, and I know we put it on the video board. He hit it at this launch angle at this 106 miles an hour. Hopefully, if we can get a new ballpark, that's one thing I'd like to put maybe like on a ribbon board around the on the facade of the upper deck, so today's new age fan can look up and say, "Oh, wow, that was."
It's immediate then.
Yeah, it's immediate information. In most major league stadiums now, you see it on the pitch.
Yeah,
you see the spin rate of the pitch, and you may not be into it, or if you're into that stuff, then it's cool.
Like analytics, you use the information the way you want.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
What's the green base? This one was actually texted to me yesterday. Someone was watching, and they said, what's the green base?
Yeah, so baseball is just the most dumb sport of all time when it comes to change, right? And I've been at fault for that too. But softball, this is one of the first places I ever coached, by the way, that it has a softball team. TCU didn't have softball. UNLV had softball. Tulane did not have softball. Clemson did not have softball. So I love getting to watch our softball team play, and they've how long have they been playing with the double base? For a while, I think. Well, the dumbest rule in baseball is the running from home plate to first base. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Yet if you run in a straight line in baseball, you're out. You're supposed to run halfway straight, and then you're supposed to get in the runner's lane, which is in between the two white lines. But then the very last step, you're allowed to step back to the base. Like that. Dumbest thing ever. So for a right-handed hitter, especially, and especially when they bunt. So imagine Camarillo bunting the ball. When he bunts it, he's out in front of home plate. the straightest line is for him to go that way. Well, he's technically not in the baseline. Right. And that's not the fault of the umpire. The umpire's job is to enforce rules. They're not to make rules. Right. So anyway, the point of the double base is twofold. One, it allows it's a permissive rule. It's not a required rule yet. We're trying, and that's why I think we're the only Division I school that keeps doing it. And like in our non-conference games, the SEC prefers us not to do it in the conference games, but I'm doing it in the conference games. Number one, and non-conference games, because I want to publicize it, because I think we need it. And if you've ever been a right-handed first baseman and you know what it feels like when the pitcher or the infielder throws the ball into the base runner. So, everybody here as Aggies, unfortunately, knows the name Lucan Baker. Yeah. Lucan was a player for me at TCU, grew up an Aggie, was a great – was in the big leagues last year. His season ended one year for us because a throw went into the runner. And I don't even want to say it's so disgusting. I mean, his elbow just popped, shredded, broke his wrist, broke his arm, had to have Tommy John surgery on his non-throwing elbow. Coach Maneri at LSU told me he has lost 3 right-handed first basemen in his career, which was about 40 years. So it's safer. Right. And so the reason I'm playing it in the non-conference games because I'm trying not to get Teddy Burton hurt. Right. So what happens is that green base is, as soon as the guy hits the ball, the green base, or it's actually orange, but God forbid we have an orange something on an A&M field, so I made him paint it green. So that's the runner's base. Yeah. And the white base is the defensive base. The only time it switches is if there's a missed third strike and the ball goes towards the first base dugout. Then they actually switch, which is weird because the rule states, imagine if I hit the ball and I've been touching the white base my entire life. If the guy goes and touches the white base and he's safe, say it happens against us, Burton can run over and tag him. It's as if he never touched the base. Gotcha. So you have to hit the green one. Yeah. And the defense gets the white one, except for the drop third strike, then they switch. A base hit, obviously you use the white one, and then a ball down the line, the umpire has to judge, did it go over the white base? Gotcha. So why are we doing it? Because I'm trying not to get – I don't want, God forbid, Teddy Burton to get hurt in a game where we could have avoided it. Yeah. This weekend we won't do it. SEC doesn't want us to do it because everybody's not using it. Maybe we do it in the conference tournament, something like that. But I was the president of our coaches association. We're trying to get it all passed for next year because it's just it's common sense. Yeah. But as you know, baseball is very, very slow to change. And so hopefully we can get that done. At least that's my feeling. Because of your relationships with the non-conference coaches, when you say, hey, we're going to play with it, they've been very receptive, haven't they? Well, I haven't given them the choice, but gotcha. I just text them and say, hey, we're playing with double base. Yeah. And I text them I let the umpire in chief know, and I text them the rules so they can tell their team. Makes sense. So just I just think it's anything that makes the game safer is good. More questions to come on the Aggie Diamond Hour. Mas Fajitas is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Come by, see us at our College Station location. It's off Highway 6 for great food, great drinks, and great service. Mas Fajitas is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Come on back to Rudy's. We continue with Jim Schlossnagle talking Aggie baseball on the Aggie Diamond Hour. This is Aggie Baseball from Learfield. Head on over to your local Rudy's or Rudy's.com to place an order for their real Texas barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. And don't forget, Rudy's serves made-to-order and grab-and-go breakfast tacos every day until 10 a.m. That's where we are, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. There's an Astro game on. There are TVs here watching. You're doing something that we all seem to do when we get here. But as you're watching, you actually have a story about tonight's game. I'll try to make this super quick, but it's basically a story about how if fans could only know the story behind each kid and how some of them are super confident and came from these awesome families and some of them are not. And some of them are just they're going through different stages as 18, 19-year-olds and they're insecure and they make bad decisions. And I used to be a guy as a young coach, like you make a bad decision, you're gone. Right, and Bobby Bowden, I got to meet him one time, and he told me the easiest thing to ever do is cut a player. That's the easiest thing to do. The hardest thing to do is to stick with them and coach them and help them grow up. And so I won't use the name yet, but and I won't tell all the, because I don't want to embarrass this young man, but we signed a player at TCU one year from Houston, and man, he was screwed up so much in going into his senior year, to the point where I called him and his family to Fort Worth, and I said, hey man, like, you're welcome to come here, but there's no scholarship. Like, we're not giving you scholarship money. Like, you got to walk on, and you probably need to go somewhere else. And he came and he walked on the team, and players didn't like him much, didn't really fit in, but he was trying to grow up, and it was just weird, and felt bad for him. At the end of the year, I said, hey man, like, I think you're great, but man, this is uphill for you. You might want to think about something else. He goes, you're right, coach. The parents were awesome. He goes to junior college, pitches well, goes to Louisiana Lafayette now, or University of Louisiana, pitches great. We actually played him, and he pitched against us. We beat him, but he pitched awesome, and he came over and said, Coach, I'm so sorry for who I was, and I'm so thankful, you know. And I said, man, I'm so proud of you. You know, you're just really growing up. And I saw that year he got drafted in like the 7th round or 8th round, somewhere not great, but not bad, by the Astros. Haven't thought anything more of it. I look on Twitter today. He's the starting pitcher tonight for the Houston Astros, Spencer Arrighetti. And I texted him today, and I haven't talked to him literally since we played that game in Lafayette, however, 4 or 5 years ago. I said, Spence, I'm so proud of you. Like, holy cow, awesome, man. And I'm thinking the guy might say, hey, screw you, you cut me, you know, whatever. And he sent me the greatest text about, wow, what I wish I knew then that I know now. I appreciate it was tough at the time, but, man, did I learn more. And I'm not saying that as, like, me as a coach. I'm just saying as college athletics, that's what it's about, man. Right. Like, this guy was a total train wreck from a good family, just made a bunch of bad choices, which we've all done in our life in some form. But he fought through it. College athletics helped him. Coach Deggs, I think, was at Louisiana, used to be here. He helped grow him up, and now the guy's starting a major league game. How awesome is that?
It's outstanding.
Isn't that great?
Because at 22, you're not the same as when you were 18.
Yeah. And so I think that's the thing I wish our fans, and they know Aggies are awesome about being loyal and accepting and giving people grace, right? I'll start crying, but that our guys, like the biggest, strongest guys on our field, they have huge insecurities.
Correct.
And you've seen that in all the other sports. They're still 19, 20 years old, and they're trying, man. Yeah. Like, they're trying so hard.
You say this, Buzz has said this, Mike Elko will say this. They're not trying to make a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, last night you look like, holy cow, like do we ever even played on a field before?
Yeah.
And I said earlier today in our dugout club, I was like, don't judge anybody. Like, imagine me judging you on the worst 10% of your life.
Right.
Like, would you want that on television and have people talk about it and tweet about it and talk about it on message board?
Right.
Like, okay, like that was our worst, hopefully, 2% last night. Yeah. But in the first 3 or 4 innings. But what's awesome is we didn't let the game get away from us, you know? And it never got away from us in the dugout. I didn't have to, years ago I'd have screamed and yelled and had a team meeting. But the greatest thing you can have is a team that you trust. It's like having a partner in life. Like, if you trust them, it's all good, man. Like, we're going to have our rough days, but I trust you. And so I trust our team. Like, hey, guys, let's get back at it. Just, keep it at 5. Let's just keep it at 5. We'll get them. They're bringing their closer in the 6th inning. Let's see how that turns out. Right. You still got 9 more outs to get, right? So, anyway, I'm getting off topic. But it's fun. I wish everybody could have the same luxury and experience that I have to be around these young people. They're awesome.
Speaking of young people, Aggie nurses are here. Howdy. Thanks for being here.
Awesome.
So they always get a question. Always. As Aggie Nurse is about to go into our first hospital clinical.
Holy cow.
What advice do you give an Aggie baseball player when he is about to go up to bat for the first time?
Yeah, so I think you got to be prepared, right? So number one thing is, I think in life, is if you want to be successful at something, watch somebody who's already good at it and do what they do. Like, I don't know how to paint anything, but if I was going to learn, I would watch a really good painter and try to do what they do, right? And so I would tell a young player, hey, watch how Braden Montgomery approaches this at bat. Mm-hmm. Look how you can't be in control of your performance until you're in control of yourself. So I would think if I'm a nurse or a doctor, which I'll never be, but if I'm getting ready to walk in to be with that patient, I want to make sure my heart's not racing. I want to make sure that I'm in control of myself, right? And so just like guys on our team, we have a guy like Grahovic who, even at a young age, seems to be in control of his heart rate, in control of his breathing, so that therefore he can be in control of his performance. We have other young players on our team that haven't gotten there yet. Yeah. And they'll get there, but it's not that they aren't physically talented. It's that they're so anxious that they can't allow their ability to show through. So I don't know if that helps a nurse, but I would think that you just want to pick out a mentor, find somebody that, wow, that's awesome. She's been or he's been doing it for X number of years, and ask them questions. Like, don't be vulnerable and say, hey, how do I do this? How do I approach this first day? And then know that you're going to screw up, and it's okay. I mean, at least it's okay for me.
Right.
I mean, I'm assuming they won't fire you if you – I mean, I guess you don't want to get anybody hurt.
Yeah.
It's life or death versus winning a baseball game. So it's a little different. But I guess that would be my advice. I don't know if that helps or not.
I think it does. Charles Carrington asked on Twitter, is your playing style decision-making more aggressive in the regular season, or do you amplify it even more during the regionals, super regionals, and College World Series?
No. We play the way we play. And that's the one thing we talk about starting fall practice is, for example, the double steals at South Carolina. Like, you can't be afraid, regardless of the game. If the game dictates you to do X, then do X. Whether that's – you can't be afraid. Somebody said to me, well, I can steal third base, but Braden's hitting. Well, if you can get the base. I don't care if Braden's hitting. You're getting closer to home plate. Now, if it's in between, if you're like, I'm not sure. Yeah, let's just sit tight. Let's just sit tight. But, my 2017, we're in Omaha playing Louisville, first and second, 2 outs. We had those bases stolen. We knew it. Can't be afraid to do it. 2 outs. Everybody's just, don't make the third out at third base. Yeah, but we got the bases.
Right.
So we stole the bases. Second and third, 2 outs. Next pitch, Ryan Merrill rolls a ground ball through the 4-hole. We score 2 runs instead of 1 run and win the game 4-1. Like those two, that being a 2-run single instead of a 1-run single. So you can't. To me, you do what you do, and when those big moments come or whatever that is, why would you ever vary from that? Right. That would be foolish. You don't step up. You revert to your training, and you just trust.
As you've always said, you never know when the winning run will be scored.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah. You got to play for every run.
Before we go, Tournament Gold weekend this weekend. That's special
awesome.
to you, isn't it?
Very special. Yeah, I got an opportunity to be a part of what an awesome organization. Got to go to their gala this past January down in Houston. Best event I've ever been to. I've been to some cool things. Probably not as many cool things as you have been, but yeah, greatest event I've ever been to in my life in terms of like a banquet celebration type thing. Super emotional, but also a lot of fun. And we're looking forward to have them on campus and including Vanderbilt in that. It's always a great weekend, and hope we sell a lot of yellow T-shirts.
And the other thing is
gold T-shirts.
I'm hoping that we just keep on piling up the RBIs for the RBI Foundation as well.
That always helps.
Keep on scoring 10 a game as well. Also, Friday, honoring the 1999 team that went to Omaha. John Sheshik, I just talked to him today, so I love that honoring, and all those players will be in.
Heck of a team.
That will be fun. And I got a chance to see Coach Mark Johnson the other day as well, which always makes my day.
Yeah.
Anytime I get to see Mark. Last night, Jackson Appel became the 11th Aggie to hit 3 home runs in a game.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, we needed the third one, right?
Yeah. Thank goodness it wasn't today. We walked out to practice today with that north wind. I said, hey, buddy, those 3 homers might have been 3 pop-ups to the shortstop.
That's right.
But with that win today, so I take that stuff into account, by the way. Like, the wind is a very real part of baseball, and especially at Olsen Field. Like, it definitely affects who you pitch.
Right.
You know, when we were at South Carolina, that place plays like a Little League field, except the weekend we were there.
Right.
The wind was blowing in, and that's why I didn't want to pitch Aschenbeck. I didn't want to pitch him 2 innings, much less 3. And then as we got to the 9th inning up, whatever the score was, the wind was howling in. And I was like, these guys can't hit a homer, so if we just need somebody to throw strikes, we should be okay. And Peary was able to finish that game for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We will see you Friday, Saturday, Sunday against Vanderbilt.
I'll be there. I'm always there for the start of them. Every now and then I miss the halfway. It's been a while, but you never know.
It has been. At Texas A&M, our goal is to build champions, and we need you, the 12th man, to be a part of that like never before. Joining us in our official NIL partner, Texas Aggies United. And you can join at TexasAggiesUnited.com and help build the best NIL program in the country. When the Aggie Diamond Hour continues, it is Trisha Ford, and Matt Simon will host the next half hour. For Jim Schlossnagle, I'm Andrew Monaco. Wonderful seeing everyone. Softball takes the next half hour. The Aggie Diamond Hour continues. It's Aggie Baseball from Learfield.
Aggie softball season is presented by T-Mobile. Whether your team is home or away, T-Mobile has Texas A&M covered. From coast to coast, fans are getting more coverage and incredible value as T-Mobile brings 5G to hometowns across the SEC. Switch now. Make T-Mobile your hometown network. Welcome back. It is the Aggie Diamond Hour. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road in College Station. Thanks to Andrew Monaco and Jim Schlossnagle. Of course, baseball with a big series against the Vanderbilt Commodores at Bluebell this weekend. Softball team's got a pretty big one as well, as the Aggies will be on the road at Road Stadium in Tuscaloosa. It'll be a top 13 showdown as Texas A&M and Alabama go at it. Joined now by our head softball coach, Trisha Ford. The Aggies off to I guess it's not really a start, is it? It's we've played like 40 games, 31-8 on the season, 10-5 in SEC play. The Aggies third place in the SEC standings. I figured since we didn't have a midweek game, usually we see you like 5 times a week. We're just like, let's just have a radio show.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
You get to hang out.
Yeah.
We have to ask you this. This is way off topic, but this is how they started the baseball portion, so we have to ask you the same thing. They asked Coach if there was a movie made about him, who would play him? Who would he want to play him?
Oh, dear.
So putting you on the spot there.
Yeah,
so I don't know if you have
and
any.
I don't watch movies very much. It might be Tom Hanks in the League of Their Own as a male, but that's kind of me, a crusty ball coach, Yeah. I don't know.
That would work. That would work for sure.
Yeah, the female version of that, whatever that is. Yeah.
Aggies 10-5 in league. They are now past the halfway point in the season in conference. There are 3 series left, 5 series in the books. Big picture, I know, as a coach, you're coaching game to game, moment to moment. But big picture, as you sit third place in the standing, just I would say you all aren't a goal-setting team, but really all the quote-unquote goals that are in front of you here with 3 weeks ago. Just your overall, thoughts, happy, not quite where you want to be, just in year 2.
Yeah, you always go down this road.
I do.
Yeah.
It's a very philosophical question. Yeah.
I guess I'm pleased where we're at, but I know what we're capable of doing. And so, this weekend I think is a really big weekend for us. So we got to go out and play Aggie softball. But overall, yes, I think we're headed in a really good direction. I just, again, always hungry for more.
Yeah. If you look at the last 2 series, one thing I liked, at least from the booth, was that, the LSU series, as frustrating as it was, a lot of tight ball games. Then you come back the next weekend and you play 3 more tight ball games, and you're right there, you win that series. That's the kind of to see a team maybe not carry the slump or whatever word you want to use into the next weekend, that's got to be encouraging, too, as you grow a program.
Absolutely, and that's SEC softball, I think, for both Jim and I, right, baseball and softball. One run has been very significant to us throughout the season. So I think it was important for us. What I didn't realize until we started talking to the team is most of them, including me, had never played at LSU or kind of a hostile environment. And so that was kind of our first experience. So obviously it was nice to come back home in front of the 12th man and be hostile to somebody else. And now we're heading into Bama, which obviously is going to be an exciting environment. So I always tell them the best feeling for me is to have a whole stadium be absolutely quiet. So that's our job this weekend.
Yeah, and this weekend for fans, it's a unique series. So you have to, make sure you watch your calendars and all that. And it's cool because every single game is nationally televised. The A crew that calls the World Series, Beth Mowens, Michelle Smith, scheduled to call the game. It's an 11:30 in the morning Saturday first game. So the series doesn't actually start till Saturday morning. There's a Sunday afternoon game at 3:30. Both of those will be on ESPN2. And then Monday night, the Aggies are the featured game on the SEC network. That game will start at 6 o'clock. Aggies are ranked as high as 10. They're 12 in the ESPN poll. Alabama right behind them at 13. And as I mentioned, the Aggies are in third place currently in the SEC standings. Tennessee atop, Florida's in second. The Aggies are right behind them in third, and then it goes LSU, Georgia, Arkansas. But what we're seeing, Trisha, here is everyone is beating everyone, really. I mean, the teams that have beaten Tennessee, Georgia was one of them, but also Auburn got them, and Auburn's at the bottom of the standings. So it really is a mantra of you have to show up locked in every single game in this league. Absolutely, and really day 3 is pivotal, and so that's something that we've kind of spent a lot of time this week about, just kind of studying what's going on day 3, because I said, hey, we want to get out of regionals. Guess what? Day 3. You want to get out of supers, it's going to be either day 2 or day 3. You want to be in the World Series, it's got to be, you got to play well. Not just the first game. And so I think that's what the SEC conference is about, is it really gets you prepared for postseason. And so you just have to continue to have those conversations of our focus, our grit, tenacity, all of those kind of things. I thought Emily Kennedy threw better on Sunday than she did on Friday. And Friday she threw pretty well. And so her and I had some conversations of like what that looks like and how she can elevate her game a little bit more, especially for that Sunday game. So I don't know. We just have a lot of growth that I can see it. And so that's what I'm hungry for them to come out and really kind of start applying that. And I know each year's different, right? I mean, as a team, and even though there'll be some familiar faces and some new faces, but this is kind of about the time last year when that little spark got fired. I remember it was in Oxford. And I think from that point forward, the team, I don't know, there's just a new kind of, I wouldn't say they were out of energy, but there was a new energy that they really carried, and it drove them into a regional final. Yeah, I think you hit middle of conference season, and you kind of hit a little like, whew, like, here we go. And our bye is late this year, and it was last year as well. And so there's some pieces to that, but at the end of the day, like, you get to play softball. Like, there's nothing better than that. And so I'm just kind of reminding them, we had them this week. They wrote a letter to themselves at the beginning of the year of what they hoped this year was going to be about, what kind of teammate they were going to be, those types of things. And we had them read it today. So just trying to re-energize and kind of refocus where their head's at. Did Trisha write a letter to herself in the fall? No, I did not. We'd have to beep it a lot, yeah. That I would have loved to have seen. Yeah. You guys, as I said, you're not really a goal-setting. You don't talk goal all the time. That's just not how you guys are wired. The one thing I have heard you mention from time to time is host regional. And really that's kind of the only, I think, thing you can truly control as a goal. And to do that, one of the big reasons you want to do that is because you get to play at home in front of the 12th man in the way that the crowd can be and the way that everything's comfortable. This year, you guys have been fantastic at home. I think 21 or 22-2, something like that. How pleased have you been? And 8-1 in league, which is really hard to do no matter who you're playing. How pleased are you the way that really, for the most part, this team has protected the home field and has ridden the energy of the 12th man to do that? Yeah, well, if you get to play in Davis Diamond, I mean, you should protect it. But yeah, it's been great. I think obviously we're comfortable. I want them to be comfortable at home. I want them to come out with a different kind of energy. Winning on the road is hard, especially in this conference. We did it one weekend, and the other weekend we had, some issues. So I think you learn from it. But for me, just really pleased with just our mentality when we're at home. We've had some blunders. We've come back from some big deficits. And I think you can start to see, as you guys follow along, of just how they don't, kind of like what Jim was talking about, like there's a level of confidence that they know they can come back in any situation. And that's been really fun to see them kind of grow through that, because I felt like last year we hit a little bit of panic. And so I think this year they're starting to grow into that confidence. One thing I wanted to ask you a little bit off topic is sort of a national perception from a recruiting standpoint as you're going around. You get hired, I think it was in June of last year. You hit the ground running, and you have a vision of what your program is to be, but there's nothing really out on paper yet as you're starting to build, right? Well, now there's some stuff on the resume, and you see what the team's doing this year. What's been kind of the reaction you guys get as you go recruiting, and obviously in state, but even out of state? You all have so many ties out on the West Coast, and it's such a powerful part to play college softball. Yeah, I don't think you really understand what this place is about until you step foot
on campus. And so for me, we've always had really good relationships with coaches, and so we were able to get kids to campus, right, and just show them what this place is like, what the community is like, just everything, the athletic environment, the academic piece. There's just so many things about Texas A&M that, obviously sold me, but really as a parent, I have a daughter as well that's going to be entering into September 1 next year. But, that you really want to sell, like the core values and what we stand for and the giving and just all of the great things about Texas A&M. And so, when you go around, everybody in Texas wants to, be a part of Aggieland, and now I understand why.
Well, we have one of those coming up here in just a little bit that you had kind of recruited a second time to come here. Jasmine Hill, the Aggies center fielder, will be up here and join us here in just a little bit on the Aggie Diamond Hour. 8/12 man, there's really no better way to describe the uniqueness of Walk-On Sports Bistro. They start every dish from scratch, use fresh ingredients to bring mouthwatering Cajun cuisine to life. And whether they're here for dinner, with the family, date night, cocktails, or to watch a game on the big screen, we're always happy to share our Louisiana culture with you. Walk-On's proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. We will return to Rudy's Barbecue here in just a bit with more of the Aggie Diamond Hour. This is Texas A&M softball from Learfield. Aggie softball will close off the SEC portion of the home schedule next weekend as they host the Ole Miss Rebels. 6 o'clock on Friday, 4 o'clock on Saturday. That is spring game day for Aggie football, and then softball following it at 4 o'clock. And then 1 o'clock on Sunday will be senior day at Davis Diamond, but we're hoping to play quite a bit more softball than that. Tickets available at 12man.com/softball tickets. Welcome back to the Aggie Diamond Hour, visiting with our head coach Trisha Ford, and we now welcome in grad student and center fielder for the Aggies, Jasmine Hill. Jazz, thanks for coming to hang out.
Thanks for having me.
I always ask the athletes this. You play in front of thousands of people. You play on national TV. Is it a little bit weird to be up on a stage with everyone kind of looking at you, or are you used to that? You're good.
Yeah, it's the 5th year around, so I'm pretty used to it. But I will say it is different out here just because of the 12th man, how much they support their athletes. I mean, compared to my previous institution, there wasn't too many fans. I'm obviously grateful for all the people that came out, but compared to Davis Diamond, it's unreal.
I was going to ask you that because obviously when you make the decision to transfer up, you're going to follow your coaches, but there are other factors in that. You're a West Coast kid. You're in a big city. You come here to more of a college town feel. What's the transition been like for you when you kind of settle into town here and kind of meeting people and kind of your first real experience in the state of Texas, I would think?
Yeah, it's just a little different from California, But I'm just forever grateful. I mean, God puts us in situations for a reason. So for me to be out here, I think it brought me out of my comfort zone a little bit, allowed me to experience new things. Coach Ford, during our team retreat, took us to a ranch, and there's just all sorts of animals and just lovely things out there. So I think it's just been, I mean, the people here have been so welcoming to me, and I've just been having a blast.
Jazz strikes me as someone that has a rather large comfort zone. She's pretty
outgoing. You should ask her about the ostrich.
Oh, my goodness. Don't.
No, but should we? Should we ask about the? We're getting a lot of nods from there. Do share something about an ostrich. Tell us.
So we went through one of the drive-through safaris the zoo things, and an ostrich saw my bucket of food and just.
We might have video of this, just so
into the car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the ones up in like Franklin, up the Aggie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That would be a little scary, I would think.
It was just a little, I was screaming at the top of my lungs.
Yeah, fair. I would be right there with you for sure. Jazz leading the team right now with a .392 batting average as the Aggies head to Tuscaloosa. Want to also get your perspective, just out of curiosity. You played in the Pac-12 for 4 seasons, and you were starter. You played a bunch, and obviously the SEC, a very, very good softball league, but there's always that discussion, SEC, Pac-12, SEC, Pac-12. Now, I'm not asking you to pick one.
Okay, I was oh, my goodness.
But what I want is, you are coming from a place that you are used to playing elite softball every single weekend. In the SEC, you're playing against elite teams every single weekend. What's kind of the experience for you been like? You've played SEC teams while you were at Arizona State, but what's the experience been like now being in the trenches every single weekend?
I mean, like you said, it's not really too much out of my comfort zone, I guess, or just something different for me. I've been used to it. I mean, in the Pac, I've faced pitchers like Rachel Garcia, Megan Framo, Gabby Plain. So I'm kind of familiar with it. It's just maybe with the SEC it's a little bit different because it's grind after grind after grind. So I think that's been cool for me.
Trisha, brag on her for just a little bit. What was you can listen. You enjoy it. And smile. What drew you guys to her when you were recruiting her, and what makes her someone that you absolutely want to have back here in your program for this one last year?
Her parents. It begins and ends with them. But Jazz is, she's just a very blue-collar, hardworking. She loves softball, and that's the other piece. And so I knew what her DNA was. Obviously, we were very fortunate when we took over at ASU. Her recruiting, her original recruitment was a little bit late. And when I took over at ASU, I knew about her, and I was like, ooh, we're going to go after her. But super athletic. Jazz actually played third, shortstop. And then obviously has transitioned to the outfield. But I think for me, it's just her competitive spirit. Like her and I mesh really well. Our insides mesh, and you've heard me talk about this a lot. But her, she comes from a hardworking household that is a no-nonsense household. And I think that really aligns with kind of what we're trying to build here.
Jazz, what was it about this coaching staff that drew you to them and really made you? I know there were other things going on too, but really wanted to be back around them. I can just see the chemistry that you guys have together.
I just think how much they want the best for me and how much they allowed me to grow into the woman I am today. I mean, the coaches preach day and out, just be who you are, but be confident, be bold, stand for your beliefs. And I as much as in the moment I'm like, oh my goodness, these guys are crazy. Being away from that for a year truly made me realize how much I missed them and how much, I wanted to come back to them and sprint back. So once I had that moment to sprint back, I took advantage of it.
One last thing here before we let you go. You come in, this is year one here, but you're obviously maybe the veteran on this team, someone that's been through the wars more than anybody else. You've won a conference championship. You've played for a chance to go to Oklahoma City, all that stuff. What about this team that you have right now and sort of what's in front of you guys here with the last 3 weeks and then the postseason really gets you excited about maybe the potential of what could be this year in your last year?
I think the biggest thing is just make sure that we keep the team going. Obviously, we have some fallbacks or some losses, but the biggest thing is to keep moving forward. I mean, our talent's there and the competitiveness is there. All it is just to finish through the finish line.
Yeah. Speaking of competitive, can you pitch? And have you tried to talk her into letting you pitch at all?
I was a pitcher, so I let that moment be a moment, and I just said my goodbyes. So if anything, it'd be more to the infield, go back to the infield. But like I said, that ship has sailed as well.
It's gone. Yeah, all gone. Now you'll just take home runs. You'll hit them off.
She tries to take ground balls, exactly. And I said go out in the grass.
Yeah.
All right. Jazz, really appreciate the time, and best of luck the rest of the way and this weekend in Tuscaloosa.
Thank you.
All right, that's Jasmine Hill, Aggie center fielder, and the A&M at Alabama, as we said, this weekend, and then home for their final conference series, and we hope there'll be more after that and some of the non-conference games as well in the postseason. That is next week against Ole Miss. We'll take a break and be back to wrap up the Aggie Diamond Hour in just a bit. You're listening to Texas A&M Softball from Learfield. Wrapping up the Aggie Diamond Hour, visiting with our head coach Trisha Ford. The Aggies ranked 12th in the country. They are third place in the SEC. They have got a huge series on tap. I guess every series in the SEC is a huge series. I should know that. 12th ranked Aggies at number 13 Alabama. Again, 11:30 a.m. on Saturday. That's on ESPN2. And then 3:30 on Sunday. That's on ESPN2. And then 6 o'clock Monday night. That's on SEC Network. Trisha, we were talking during the break just a little bit. You never want to make one series bigger than another, as they all count, they all matter. But this is, I think, a kind of a unique opportunity here in year two for you guys as you're growing this program and trying to elevate them on a national scale to go into Tuscaloosa and face a program with the tradition of Alabama.
Absolutely, and that's what we've been talking about too, and just reminding our players that it's not the Alabama that they grew up watching. This is a very beatable Alabama team that I think that if we come out and play our game and obviously take care of the ball in the circle, I think we have a really good chance. And so LSU, I felt like we didn't come out. I felt like the first night we did, but then after that, we hit some hiccups, and so that's a good test for us. And so now it's time for us to come out and on the national stage come out and perform.
Yeah, I was going to ask you maybe what do you think some of the keys to the weekend might be, but they seem to be the same keys every weekend. You're setting table, get the big hit, or make the big pitch, make the big play in the field. Yeah,
I think Obviously Lefty has been really good for us. She's going to need to continue to with just doing what Lefty does. I think Shaley and Levitt and Vestal obviously need to come in and take care of some innings for us, and then we need to have that big hit when we've been putting runners on base, and we had a good weekend of that, scored a lot of runs, but that's going to be key is when we get them in, we got to get them in.
Yeah, and you talked about it on the weekend, one of our game talks about how these series prepare you for the postseason because you play in such just a war of a league like the SEC. You look at Kentucky, they're sitting near the bottom of the standings. It might be at the bottom. They're going to be a number 2 seed in a regional somewhere. This Alabama team is very likely going to host a regional. You are fighting right now. I'd say you probably would host a regional, but every single weekend, if you might see a team at the bottom of the standings, that doesn't mean that they're not a good team.
100%. And they, obviously beat Alabama 2 out of 3 at Kentucky, which I think makes a difference. But, they got an All-American pitcher. Every team has an All-American pitcher. So, but that's the fun part. That's, how do you solve the puzzle each week because it's different. Yeah, and then just finally, I know we have some non-cons after it, but next weekend, the big series with Ole Miss, the final one here with Senior Day. The crowds have been awesome all year, and big wins this next weekend could help you play some more. Absolutely, yeah. Get out to Davis. It's my favorite place to be. I spend a lot of time there, but get out there and yell and root the Ags on.
All right, Trisha Ford, appreciate the time, and we'll see you on the plane on Friday.
Absolutely, take care.
All right, that is Trisha Ford, our head softball coach. The Aggies, as we said, are 31-8. They're in third place in the SEC at 10-5, and they will face off with number 13 Alabama. That series Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon, and then Monday night. It is the SEC featured series, and then the Aggies are home. They go to North Texas in the middle of the week next week, but after that they'll be home next Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Ole Miss Rebels to wrap up SEC home schedule play. All right, that'll do it for us on the Aggie Diamond Hour. Thanks to Andrew Monaco, Jim Schlossnagle, Trisha Ford, Jazz Hill. Kevin Menchow here in the restaurant, also Tony O'Neill back at Jefferson City. Hope everyone has a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you again next time. You've been listening to Texas A&M Softball from Learfield.